An airline closes its doors, the new FAA data shows a massive spike in the total number of ATP and CFI certificates in 2023. Today I'm going to break down how this will affect pilots trying to get their first airline job or dream job. Hey guys, my name's Aaron Mathis, and I'm currently a United 767 and 757 first officer with 11 years of aviation experience and 8 years in the airline industry. From regional first officer, line check captain, recruiter, and interviewer to United Airlines first officer, aviate mentor, and now pilot interviewer, it's safe to say that I've mastered the aviation hiring process. I'll help you unlock industry insights, career tips, and pilot hiring trends to fuel your journey from flight deck dreams to career reality. Make sure to hit subscribe, and I'll be sure to help you find some career tailwinds. The total number of certified ATP pilots went up from January 1st of 23 to January 1st of 2024 by an astounding 7,400 pilots. Now, for comparison, there hasn't been more than 3,000 new ATPs issued in a given year in the last 10 years compared to 2023's numbers. Total flight instructor certificates went up by 6,502, another astounding number compared to years prior. The total flight instructor certificates also went up by 6,500, another astounding number compared to the years prior, where the average number of newly issued flight instructor certificates has never exceeded 4,000 in a given year. The increased number of newly issued instructor certificates paints a picture where in 1 to 2 years there will continue being floods of pilots reaching ATP maturity, and if the regional hiring numbers don't increase soon, we will soon see minimum qualification for regional pilots going up significantly and probably well above 2,000 hours total time. These are the times where the quality of aviation education, college degrees, military service, volunteer work, minimal check ride failures, and great networking are all about to make huge differences in getting a foot in the door at someone's first airline or dreamline. In the big picture of things, airline pilots have talked for decades and decades about the major pilot shortage that loomed over the industry, caused by thousands and thousands of pilots all retiring within less than 10 years. The main reason this is happening is in part to poor hiring practices by airlines who took far too much liking to military pilots at a time where all the same pilots trained at the exact same time and were coming out of the military looking for airline jobs. Now, those were all great pilots, and the airlines certainly salivate over the idea of highly trained military pilots. However, since all of those pilots were relatively the same age, that meant that all the same pilots would retire almost simultaneously 20 to 30 years later, which is actually now, and due to the age 65 rule, it made it very clear and obvious that this was going to be the biggest retire and hire cycle known to aviation. With us already talking about 2025 and beyond, we have probably already seen 60 to 65% of the major retirement wave pass through the industry, creating a steady slowdown of airline retirements moving forward, and thus a gradual slowdown of career progressions to the regionals and thus to the major and legacy carriers. Now, I just want to be perfectly clear that I'm not saying someone pursuing an aviation career today will never get hired at an airline, or that someone pursuing a career in the airline profession will have a bad career. Rather, I'm simply stating that going forward, it's going to be more difficult and you will have a slower progression, but by no means impossible or not a worthwhile career. To add to the mix, iAero Airways just announced that it will be ceasing operations in the next couple days, and that too will have a small but negative ripple effect on the regional pilots trying to make their way over to a major or legacy carrier. When major and legacy carriers get fat on applications and they realize they can pick and choose the people that they interview, they tend to take a bit of a negative bias towards regional pilots and cookie cutter careers. Now, full disclaimer, this is my own personal information and it's not based on anybody or any airline's hiring practices. Now, they do this because they want to see something that helps them stand out among the crowd. Like, for instance, imagine you have to hire one person out of a crowd of 100 people that are all dressed the exact same way with the same qualifications from the exact same background. It will probably feel like they are all great and overqualified, but the person that you end up giving the job to was just someone that you essentially had to randomly pick. Now imagine that in the crowd of 100, there was one person that differentiated themselves with a qualification beyond what all the other had. That draws your eyes into them first and the rest next. For years and years, this was how hiring departments operated until about 2018 or 2019 when the retirement wave began to pick up and hiring surged. I remember specifically being a recruiter and interviewer for PSA Airlines, which is an airline that's wholly owned by American Airlines, where we interacted closely with American recruiters, and they were always emphasizing the importance of career progression because they had over 16,000 applications to fill for less than 1,000 job openings for that year alone. Well, we're quickly approaching these numbers again, and I personally assume that probably around 10,000 of those applications are solely from regional pilots alone. So why does Aero Airways closing down matter to a regional pilot trying to get a legacy job? It does, because the person that flew a 172 until they had 1,500 hours and then flew a regional jet until applying will have a tendency to be overlooked versus a person with a 737 type rating due to the pure fact that it's a larger plane beyond more or less a regional jet, and also because the airlines can gauge a higher success outlook through training when someone has experience flying a mainline plane that they themselves operate. Now, believe it or not, but airlines do have risk factors that they do consider. For example, whenever I hire someone, the most fundamental question I'm asking myself is, will this person make it through training? Now, this is important because airlines will invest well over $100,000 into someone to make them fully qualified pilots. And if they've already completed training on that exact same aircraft, then that number in my mind goes to over 98% chance of success. Aero Airways operates a fleet of 50 Boeing 737 aircraft, and that makes them as pilots valuable to major carriers. Given that these pilots are also unfortunately about to lose their jobs entirely, they're surely about to be all applying to the legacy carriers, since currently there are no major LCC or ULCC airlines currently hiring. The fact that these pilots have 737 type ratings gives them one little leg up on all the regional applicants. Now, I do like to believe that the legacy and major carriers probably have some sympathy for these pilots' misfortune to none of their own doing and will give backdoor preferential interviews to encourage their applications. Now, that's purely speculation on my part and by no means something that I can confirm. In today's discussion, we've delved deep into the aviation industry's current landscape, marked by a substantial increase in ATP and CFI certificates and the unfortunate closure of Aero Airways. This surge in qualified pilots and the addition of highly experienced 737 pilots into the job market are set to continue reshaping the hiring dynamics within the industry. For aspiring pilots, the journey to securing a coveted position at a regional or legacy carrier is becoming increasingly competitive. The significant rise in pilot certifications suggests that in the coming years, airlines may elevate their hiring standards, placing a greater emphasis on quality of education, diverse experiences, and networking. The closure of Aero Airways, while a setback for its pilots, does present a unique scenario where the experienced individuals may find preferential opportunities at major and legacy carriers, further intensifying the competition. As we navigate through the largest retire and hire cycle in the aviation industry, the landscape for new pilots is evolving. Despite these challenges, the dream of flying high with a reputable airline remains attainable. It underscores the importance of the distinguishing oneself through continuous learning, skill enhancement, and embracing every opportunity to stand out. Remember, while the path to your aviation career may seem daunting in this new environment, it's filled with potential for those prepared to rise above the rest. Just remember to stay informed, stay resilient, and keep pushing for that breakthrough opportunity. Your career tailwinds are just on the horizon. Thank you guys so much for staying with me until the end. Don't forget to hit subscribe to stay updated with the latest in aviation career insights. Until next time, fly safe and keep chasing those tailwinds. That was it.